welcome to the Potty Queen. It's so nice to have you on.
I'm so excited to be here. Yeah.
So good. Today we have, it's Tika?
Tika, yeah.
Tika, yeah.
Yeah.
Cute. Put you down as a herbalist slash fairy slash witch. I don't know which is you, but
all three
like,
is fitting. Yeah, that's like the most perfect introduction. I go by witch. Yes.
It suits you beautifully. Would you please describe the wood and what you're about?
It's interesting. I've been talking to my friends a lot about this and, just trying to refine like our messaging and everything. And the word to me is really an expression of my mother and her mother and our maternal lineage that I really feel like flows through me and has always had like this passion for plants and healing and yeah. But yeah, I think it like stems from this deep desire within me to just help people come back home to themselves, and that's really what it is about. Well, remembering the home within and embodying themselves and what that really means. Obviously there's like a big depth to that, but I think with that is like the idea of we are our own healers and we don't need to rely on anything externally to know what we need or who we are, because all of that is already within. We just need to find it. And and to me that's really what the word is all about.
Wow, well said. What do you think would happen if everyone started tuning in and noticing the body's subtle shifts and opting for more holistic ways of being?
Beautiful question.
Thank you.
Well, I think ultimately it's about reconnecting with the soul, right? I think in our world, it's easy to become disconnected from that and feel the pressures of external society and everything like that. And it really shuts us off to our soul, to our emotions. A lot of people are walking around quite numb, really. You and I, like, we can look each other in the eye and feel what the other person is feeling, and that brings up emotion, and that's beautiful. That's how we're meant to be. And unfortunately that isn't the case for a lot of people in what I'm seeing. Yeah, and I think like with that soul connection comes your access to creativity, and I think ultimately like that's what we're all here to do, is express ourselves authentically, and whatever creation comes up from that is like our purpose that we're here to offer the world.
Yeah.
And I think like that's really what we need, is like more people expressing themselves authentically, because that's when you're actually feeling fulfilled and joyful and happy. And yeah, I think that's like a lot of the issues we see with like being disembodied, both men and women, not being happy in their jobs, not being happy in their lives. I see it as really like a disconnection from the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hit like 8 questions on the head at once. So
I'm like, I can't even remember the question anymore.
And what was the process of owning your witchy tendencies like?
This is an interesting one because it hasn't come natural to me.
No. So fair. That's
Yeah.
why I was like,
yes.
big.
I grew up in an environment where my mum was always very much into this stuff. It was a part of my childhood. My mum would take us to like spiritual churches and we would like sing and hold hands and talk about like archangels and things like that. But I guess at the time I'm a young kid, so I'm like, this is weird. Like none of my other friends are doing this. Mum, you're crazy. But like, I guess that does ingrain into you, right? And it imprints like into your DNA. And I guess like as I grew up, I kind of like ventured away from that, and I went down the path of like, what it means to like be a modern girl and like fashion and boys and all that stuff. And I really like leaned away from that side of me. And I don't know, I guess like it was always an inner knowing within me, but like I felt like I didn't have people that I could express that with. And what I'm actually just realizing now, this is what's been coming up for me lately, is how I really suppressed that version of myself. It's definitely been a journey, and I'm still on that journey. Like, I have conversations with people and like I'll want to talk about like fairies or the soul, and I'll notice like how awkward I feel.
Yeah, no,
because I'm like, is this going to be received? Like, are they going to think I'm crazy? And that really has been the case for me for like most of my adult life, is like I'll say something just because it's like just comes through, and then everyone will be like, we've lost Tika, like she's fucking been abducted by aliens or something,
Yeah.
And so now I think having the support around you is so important, of like people that you can really talk to and that really understand you on this stuff, because how else do you trust that inner knowing, right, without people to like help you? Yeah, exactly. So I think for me, it's still a process, but I think like finding the people that I can really express myself to authentically and have them receive that and see me for who I am has been like the biggest healing journey with that. Yeah.
So well said. Oh my golly. I've spent a good portion of my life bouncing between the human and the spiritual experiences and feel like I've learned a lot from both. Given that the spiritual is a lot of the unseen and immeasurable, well, it is kind of measurable with quantum physics and things like that, but it's kind of more the unseen.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like a bit of an outcast being on a path of this nature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Had conversations with my friends and I'm like expressing something to them that I'm like super passionate about and it's such a big part of me, and then you just see like kind of the vacancy in their
Just
eyes.
glazing over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, they'll say things like, oh, we've completely lost you, you know? And I laugh that off, but like I'd be lying if I said that like deep down that didn't really hurt me.
Yeah.
I definitely have, but I feel like I'm really in a phase of my life now where I'm really trying to lean into that. And, you know, I think you might feel this as well, but like if you're not fitting in, it's because you're not meant to. And I think like really stepping into your power within that and being like, okay, I'm not here to be the same as anybody else because maybe I'm meant to be showing a new path. Yeah, I'm still working on just like really leaning into that and like trusting myself. And that's what I feel like. If you're not fitting in, you're not meant to.
That's good. That strikes a real chord.
Yeah.
And being a fellow Gemini, do you feel like you resonate with the dual nature of the Gemini?
Oh my gosh. I'm actually a double Gemini.
Oh,
So I'm a Gemini sun, a Gemini rising, and a Cancer moon. So yes, I've been having this conversation all week with one of my best friends, and it's come up, it's been, so apparent to me lately, that duality, especially since like, leaving my relationship and like what that means of like me fully coming into myself and being like, wow, I've got these two sides of me where like one is so deep and spiritual and, you know, I want to just like read poetry and cry. Maybe that's the Cancer coming through as well.
Yeah.
But then there's this other side of me that is like so like fun and like I want to explore and like be joyful and just like laugh. And you know, a lot of people can say they have those two sides, but I think like you probably relate. Yeah.
Hugely. Yeah, hugely.
Yeah. And it feels like every option I have, like everything that comes to me, there's always like these two paths that I could go down. And I'm just like, which one do I want to choose here?
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely relate to that.
I find myself becoming my biggest healer and really enjoying the process. Kind of trips me out that we all have the answers within us. Have you ever found yourself in a deep process of trial and error as a bid to heal an ailment?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my whole life has been...
When I said that, I was like, there's going to be a few things weekly.
Yeah, weekly. My journey to herbalism came through wanting to heal a lot of things that were coming up for me, and like my main thing that started that journey was healing my cycle and my hormones, and that really came from being on the pill and just again like being so disembodied. And that was like really what kicked off my healing journey of like, okay, my hormones are out of whack, I don't have a cycle, my skin is breaking out, I'm so burnt out, I have no energy, all of those things. What do I do here? Like, where do you start with something like that? Because, you know, if you're not really tuned in, that could be so many different things, you know, like it appears as like fatigue. So people are like, oh, you need more sleep or something. It has to be seen from like such a holistic perspective. And like there was so much trial and error with that. Trying just like dosing up on caffeine, like maybe that will help me. Okay, learning, no, that's actually making my hormones even worse. And trying all the different herbs, all the different diets. Like I went through all that type of thing as well, you know, but ultimately what I found to really help me was like, firstly, like the herbs have always been like a core thing for me to help get me to a level where I can do all the other things. And I think like, finding like the herbs that really helped me through that period, they helped me get to a place where like I could be more conscious about like how I was moving through the world. I could sit and meditate, the energy to like go for a walk after work and not just like go home and like want to crash on the couch and all those little things that like kind of just help build one step by step. And so like it's still a continuous journey. Like we were talking about earlier, there's still, something's going on in the body. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like it always comes back to emotions and, our childhood trauma. And the more that we really dive into that, the more that these physical ailments seem to heal themselves. That's my experience anyways.
Do you have any tips for getting to the root cause of an imbalance?
Like herbs are a big part of it, but I think ultimately like the root cause of any illness is going to be emotional or energetic. So I think like it really comes from just like sitting with it. Also understanding the connection between the mind and the body. Are you having issues with your liver? Like the liver is where we store anger. So if you're having issues in your liver, maybe we need to sit with that anger and release it and really dive into like where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Sitting with the big feelings and actually like being in them and going through them is so important. And I think it's a challenge, right? It's hard to like sit in these big emotions, and especially in this day and age where we're so used to like a quick fix, take a pill for that, or I can just be on my phone and I can forget all about this thing that I'm feeling now.
So true.
And just again, it's about connecting to your soul, right? Your higher inner knowing, because it's always going to lead you down the right path.
As I was saying before, actually, my pain point the last few years has been my liver. So I've been packing a lot in those realms, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Would you recommend liver herbs to support liver health, or anything in particular?
Amazing liver herbs. You've got dandelion, milk thistle.
Yeah.
Those two I work with often because I've had a lot of liver issues myself. But I think understanding like how the body works holistically as well. Like for example, the liver helps produce the bile that breaks down your digestion. And so like if we're having issues with our liver, then usually we're having issues with our digestion. And if we're cleansing our liver, everything that is cleansed then flushes down into the kidneys. So it's important to like see, okay, it's not just the liver that's being impacted, but it's these other organ systems as well. There's kind of a process that I like to go through with the liver in particular. And so it's your bitter herbs, right? They help replenish and stimulate the liver and help it detox. And that also has an affinity with the digestive system.
Cool.
And then after that process, I like to move on to the kidneys. And that's just kind of like really flushing through hydration. And that's connected with the lymphatic system as well. So I kind of do that in a 2-step process.
I'm going to have to come see you for a consult.
Please do.
Yes.
We'd love that.
That's so cool. Often I find myself diagnosing my friends' pain points in my mind.
Can relate.
And subtly wanting to offer simple shifts that could well enhance their quality of life. A lot of the time, they'd much rather not change and endure the pains. Do you ever come across people who aren't overly interested in healing and only make the shifts when they're snowed under with mental and physical fog?
Yes. It's a big one. And that's been like a tough lesson for me to learn because truly I just want to help people and I want to see people thrive. And like if I'm telling you something, it's not because I'm like a know-it-all. It's because like I really want to help you. But what I've also come to learn the hard way is that the best way to help people like this is to really lead by example.
Yes.
And that's all we can do. And they might come over and be like, oh, what are you making? Oh, I'm making this infusion for blah, blah. It's like, you don't have to have any, but like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that really does like spark something in them. They're like, oh, that's interesting. And even if it's just planting like a little seed, I found that to be like the most effective way when people do have that wall up. And also just understanding, obviously, everyone is on their own journey at their own place and time. And you also can't help everyone. And because it can be draining for you as well, often. Like if you, especially when like it's somebody quite close to you. And this has been a big thing for me, is just like all I can do is lead by example and plant the seeds and hope that they pick up what they need. Yeah.
That's so true.
And also like on that, when our cup is full and like when we're feeling like our most vibrant self, because we're really like just taking care of ourselves, then that cup overflows and that energy that we're really building within ourselves just pours out into everybody in our field. So I think like even just by consciously sending them love and things like that, like they don't even have to know about it, but that can have such a profound impact.
That's been my thing.
Beautiful.
Trying to send love.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like This is an interesting modality. I wonder if they know that that's what I'm doing.
Can they feel it?
Yeah.
They can feel it.
They can
Maybe
feel
they're
it.
not aware, but
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute.
Mm.
And well, you talked a little bit about like herbs for hormone health, but I did have a question saying, would you recommend herbs for hormone health?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on like what your issue with hormones is. For me, and I think for most women, it is connected with stress.
Yeah.
And a dysregulated nervous system.
Yeah.
And especially in young girls, I'm seeing it so much now, like between like 20 to 25. All these women coming off the pill as well, same as my journey. And you know, there's a lot tied into those early years of your 20s, and you're still really finding yourself and your place in the world. But yeah, I think like stress is massive. And so yeah, nervine herbs are amazing for that. So they really help, as the name suggests, they really help balance the nervous system.
Yeah.
There's 3 types of nervines. There's sedative nervines, there is restorative nervines, and there is stimulating nervines. Yeah. So it depends on like kind of which ones you're needing, but like if you're wanting like a deep rest, then you would go for more of a sedative nervine, and that's one that like might help you sleep. Or the restorative ones are what I find to be most helpful for people, for women in particular, that are dealing with stress, because it's actually about like restoring the nervous system from depletion. And yeah, really helping like balance all of the hormones. It's actually incredible. Like these herbs, all you need to do is take them, and they literally like bring up what's needed or bring down what's needed. And it's just like this innate intelligence that they have that is, you know, beyond measure, beyond like, you know, what our brains are capable of at this stage. But yeah, I find that so fascinating. So I really recommend restorative nervines, and that is in a lot of our products. And then we also have adaptogens. So adaptogens generally are stimulating though. And so it can be like, if you're really like burnt out, or like needing deep rest, then adaptogens may not be the best route for you. That's when I recommend the nervines. But if you are wanting like daily stress management to kind of just keep you feeling like calm and in flow, then adaptogens are also amazing for that. So I like to combine the two, and that's what our like Seize Day products are.
So yeah, I've been popping them.
Perfect.
Thriving. Yeah, that's cool. Have you journeyed much into your soul or calling / purpose?
Ooh. I've been on a big soul journey lately. Yeah, it's been beautiful and it's been challenging. And yeah, I think it's, you know, a lot of big shifts, as we were talking about. I think for a lot of people at this time, there is really this like call back to the soul happening, which is beautiful. And I think, yeah, like I'm learning so much about myself, and this really comes from like sitting in the stillness. I feel like there's so many distractions around us, but I think like for myself, when I've really been able to connect to my soul and my purpose, is when I sit in stillness, I meditate and just see what comes through.
Yes.
And just feel what comes through. And I think like trusting in that information and where it's guiding you, what's lighting you up, like what are you most excited about in life?
Yeah.
And you know, these are all the signs pointing towards like what our soul purpose is. Yeah, and for me, like that's always felt like healing of some sort, but it took me a while to really like figure out what that was. It was actually funny, like at the start of the pandemic, I think that was like a big, you know, catalyst for a lot of people. And that was when it's like I just had this download that I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm in the wrong job. I'm in the wrong life.
You were one of those.
Yeah. And I was like, this life is like not where I'm meant to be. So I like quit my job. I like didn't work for 6 months, and I was like, I need to like get back onto my journey, you know? And that was huge for me, but it felt like a big death and rebirth. And there was a lot woven into that around quitting a job that I had thought was my purpose and had spent so many years kind of like working towards this, and like what it meant to really let go of that and go back to being like jobless and like on Centrelink.
Back to the beginning.
Back to the full beginning. And you know, that was a beautiful experience, but it was challenging mentally, letting go of all the ideas of like what my life should be, to really like follow what my soul was telling me. And I'm so glad I did. And like we're 4 years on now, and you know, the Wood is what was birthed from that. So yeah.
So funny, because last week I had a girl on the potty, and same thing. She started her business the exact same time around COVID. She was like, "What am I doing?" sort of thing.
Yeah.
Started her business, and it's thriving, much like yours.
Amazing.
Like, similar thing.
Yeah.
So funny to notice those, like, yeah, just the similarities on a lot of people. I think throughout COVID were like, "Fuck, like I've got to adapt." I feel like I was so sure as well with the decisions that I was making. So yeah, it's really cool to see the correlations anyway.
I've spoken to a lot of people that had like a really similar experience too, and I feel like, as we were saying before, like it really was a big up leveling for the collective, I think, at that time, which is really cool. And I think like with that up leveling, there's always going to be an amount of destruction that is necessary.
Chaos, that's what I've been
Exactly.
reading.
Yeah, chaos.
So I dedicate my life to a higher power, and I'll be unwavering in that choice until my time comes. May I ask where you sit when it comes to devotion or God or surrender?
Yeah, I love this question. I agree with you. I think like my purpose now, like what I'm really driven by is source, is love, I think ultimately. And that's when like we're really in our power to serve, right? Like to me, like my life now is like being in service of love.
Yeah.
And and to me, like obviously nature is a really big part of who I am. And yeah, God, you know, whatever you want to call it, it all means the same thing to me. But like I see that in nature, you know, to me, like everything in nature is a spirit, everything, like there's the great mother, right? To me, like that is God. I'm devoted to that path, and to helping other people find that within themselves, I think is kind of like, what is really feeling to me like my soul mission now.
Feels my
Oh, beautiful. I think when you're in service of love, right, that really is what it comes down to, is like helping as many people as possible find that within themselves. Because that's,
or realize it.
Yeah.
Like, remember it.
Remember. Exactly. Remember.
Yeah. Oh, that's so precious. I haven't actually heard many people say it like in the way that you have, which is really nice. I feel so much less like an alien. It's so good.
Me too.
I love. May I ask what the future of Tika and the Wood looks and feels like? If
This
it's not
is-
a secret.
No, well, this is an exciting question because I actually have just had something really big happen, and I'm bringing in some new partners into the Wood. So one of my beautiful friends, Ruby, and her partner, they're now partnering with me, and we're doing this journey together. And to me, like that just feels so amazing, because over the last few months, have been through this journey where I was like, I'm trying to do all of this stuff myself, and like I have this big vision for what I see for the Wood, and I'm trying so hard to get there, but it's not possible by yourself. And this is a big realization that I had, is like we need community, we need people to lean on. And it just felt like such a natural fit with Ruby. Like she really sees the bigger vision and we share that really strongly, and she brings in like some really amazing skills that are needed in the business. So we're a really great team, and her partner Alex as well. Because like really Ruby and I, we just want to be witches. We want to create, we want to like make potions, we want to do all the fun creative stuff. And then Alex, he's really good at like the nerdy things, we call it. So he does like the back end business, like SEO, you know, all of that type of stuff. And
sick.
He's got all of that. And I think like that is really what is needed to like take the Wood to the vision that I see. And like that was a big process for me, being like, oh, it's okay for me to rely on people. And for so long I was like, I will never have investors in the Wood, like this will always be my thing. But then I don't know, it's like it just clicked for me one time, and I was like, I called Ruby, I was like, I need to come see you. We need to talk about this. And she was like, I've been waiting for you to ask me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, that makes all the sense.
Yeah.
The expansion of just like 3 humans.
Exactly.
With their skills. But I understand the feeling of being like, this is my baby.
Yeah. I know. And I think that's why it's so important to like partner with people that really do see the vision, and like you know, we all bring like such important things to it. And just like respecting each other's roles within that, and their expertise. And I know like I have such a deep trust in like this team, so it feels very right. And we're also like And now like the creation is just flowing because I feel like I have the space to really sit in that, which is like what my strong suit is. And as a manifestor, what are you?
I'm a manifesting
Of
generator.
course you are,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, like, you know, then like as a manifestor,
Yeah.
like we have all these ideas and it's just about like bringing them into the physical. So yeah, Ruby and I were brainstorming yesterday, and what we're really passionate about now is like taking people through this journey of like reconnecting with their soul. And so like it starts with cleansing, right? Like just really purging out all the stuff that we've accumulated over the years, and then it's about replenishing and rebalancing. So that's kind of like the journey we want to take people on through herbs and through embodiment practices as well. That's something that Ruby brings a lot with. Like she has really amazing experience with like actually tapping into the body through movement and breath work and things like that. So making it very holistic and combining those two elements so that we can be embodied and within our soul.
That's so cool. It's cool to like hear a little bit more about the vision of where it could potentially go.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone's put on this planet to like have to go through all the things. I
For
feel
sure.
like it's kind of cool to just be like, knock, knock, like, can you help me? And then everything's just like sort of laid out in a way. In a way.
And I think as well, like if once our like body is clean, like it's a lot easier for the mental work that needs to take place to happen, because you know we need to like cleanse the heavy metals and all the stuff so that like we can really find out our thoughts again, like what is our own, what is somebody else's, and then just like continue diving deeper from there.
So true. Oh, I'm so stoked for you. That's huge.
Thank you.
Wow, so much like death and like rebirth in your life.
It's been wild.
What is the most beautiful piece of info, teaching, or guidance you've received that's really stuck with you?
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind just then is a message that I actually found through a song. And it says, move forward in the courage of your love. And that just like really struck me, and it's just been like coming through a lot in like all these experiences. Like if I'm feeling nervous or going through something difficult, coming back to that and being like, move forward in the courage of your love. Like have the courage to listen to that inner voice and know that like when you are acting out of love, you're always right, you know, you're always moving towards like the growth and the expansion and the betterment of everybody involved in the situation, even if it can feel challenging. So move forward in the courage of your love.
I love that. Love is quite smart, isn't it? I'm properly obsessed with learning and gathering data, and I see a lot of that in you.
Yes, Geminis.
It's a thing. It's a disease. No. Do you see knowledge as power or a bid to feel more sane?
Knowledge, I think knowledge, it's about learning so that I understand myself more. And that's really what it is. I think like more so than like collecting knowledge to gain power, it's more about like, I just want to understand me and I want to understand the people I'm relating with and the world around me. And I think, you know, curious Geminis, like we really want to understand like how things work and why they are the way they are. In understanding that, we can hopefully help make the changes that need to occur. And I think that's what it comes down to, is like always trying to like move forward towards love. And to do that, you kind of have to have an understanding of like the systems and how things work and how to relate to people, I think. So
That's cool. No, it's so true. It's true. The obsession with obsession kind of has a negative connotation to it, but it's just like the excitement of learning.
Yeah, definitely. And just like the more you know about yourself, like how interesting. Like when I have these little like, I'm like, oh my God, that's just clicked for me. I'm like, oh, it all makes sense.
Yeah, it's so true.
And now hopefully I can help somebody else with that information.
I find the stiller I am, the more info comes through, which is a concept that feels quite niche and maybe more Eastern. Is this something that you play with?
Yeah.
All the questions.
Yeah, definitely. I think it really is the key, sitting in the stillness. I actually had this, this is actually a funny little story, but the universe gave me this message recently. I was walking on the beach and like normally I would not carry anything on me. I just like to walk but lately I've just been headphones in, listening to podcasts, listening to music. And it's kind of like innately I knew that like I need to like not just be blocking off all my senses. I need to walk and just like be with myself. But I think in reality, I probably was trying to escape certain emotions and things like that. So I was putting in this music, and I was like, I'm gonna go for a swim. So I like put my bag on the sand and like went for a swim. And I came back up, and as I was coming out of the water, this huge wave, like an unexpectedly big wave. It was not in relation to the size of the other waves. It like came forward and like completely knocked over my bag that had my phone, my headphones, everything in it, and like just filled it with sand and water, my little bag. And so I was like, okay, my headphones are broken, my phone is full of water. I get the message.
I get it. Thank you.
Exactly.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and so
Not funny at all,
well, it was hilarious. I mean, it was annoying, but it also was like the
Yeah.
message that I needed,
It's
right?
clear. It's clear.
Yeah, so that was a good reminder. But yeah, I do try and have like a regular practice. I try and practice my stillness in the form of like meditations in the morning and the evenings, even if it's just like 15, 20 minutes. And I think like once you're in a flow with that, it becomes like a necessary part of your day to really like get me feeling like centered, creative, and then also just like to switch off at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been amazing like what comes through to that. The more you practice it as well, like the more you do lean into that trust and information starts coming through that you're just like, wow, you know, wow, yeah, exactly.
Wow. Those are some just crazy signs. Blow me away. I'm reading a lot about journeying into the soul, and read that having other mystics around you to discuss those otherworldly happenings is really important, so you don't feel like you're going crazy, basically.
Yeah.
Do you have community around you who understand the mission?
Yeah, it's been a really important journey for me, and for a long time I feel like I didn't have that community. And yeah, like you said, I really felt like a crazy person, just like locked up in this cage, and I had to like put on this face to the world that was like, like, yeah, life's good. But on the inside I'm like, I want to know about your soul. Like, what's your childhood trauma? Have you ever seen like a UFO? And so yeah, like there's been a lot of like caging and like shutting down my expression, and I feel like I'm on that journey to like really stepping into my full expression now. That's come with really connecting with people that do understand, and like I can have these conversations with. And it's been like so vital to like myself coming out of this cage. That's how I kind of envision it. Yeah, it's a huge part. It's like the need to support each other in this spiritual journey back to our soul. Because you know we're meant to be connecting, we're meant to be relating, and it's not something we're meant to do like in a vacuum by ourselves. It really doesn't happen that way. So it's essential, I think. I also really trust in divine timing. And I think when you do the work that's needed individually, then you magnetize the people to you. And that's definitely been my case. And also just setting that intention. Like I had this realization that like I want to connect with more people that I really relate with. And honestly, like within a few months of setting that intention, all these people started to come into my life. So that's the power we all have within us too. We can call in whatever we desire.
So cool. I'm under the impression that lifestyle choices are the biggest pillars in living a life filled with energy and creativity. You seem to live quite a holistic / green life. Are you now naturally drawn and wired for all things unprocessed in the food department? Or do you still dip your toes into the junk food pond every now and then?
I gotta say, like the junk food, I don't really, I have no desire. I think once you do enough cleansing and like get to a good place emotionally, then you don't really crave those foods. So I think like, you know, my probably like my little treat is like my chocky. I'm always addicted to my chocky, but I actually don't see that as like anything bad.
Not at all.
Yeah, for me it's really connected with emotions. And a lot of like the emotional eating I used to do when I was younger would always come back to like feeling afraid or feeling, you know, just disconnected from myself. And I think when you learn to like listen to the signs your body is actually giving you, like oh, I'm craving like carbs today, or I'm craving salt. Like that is a message that our body is telling us we need something. And I think just like being aware of how the body speaks to us, we can give it what it needs in a really healthy, beautiful way that feels fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like something that I've really come to learn is like treats should make us feel good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I don't want to indulge in something that tastes delicious, but then I feel like crap for like a few days afterwards. And I mean, it's been a journey for me to get here. But yeah, I don't feel called to it anymore.
Yeah.
My body craves just like fresh greens and, you know, fruit.
Yeah. That's the best.
Yeah.
And is there something that you've learnt recently that's just really struck a chord within you? Just a piece of information, maybe something on a potty, something you read in a book?
Really trust the inner knowing and like learning to listen to that. And I think it's kind of connected with everything we've spoken about. It's like being in the stillness, hearing what's coming through and really trusting in that and having the courage to move forward with your decisions and stuff in alignment with that. And you know, being okay of letting go what is no longer in alignment with that. And that can be really challenging. But that's kind of the journey that I'm on at the moment. And yeah, it's really like poignant in my life right now. It's just like, it's okay. Like people come into our life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Actually, what's coming through now is like, you know, having all these big emotions around these things, but then actually understanding like at the root of every single emotion is love, right? So the root of sadness, love. The root of joy, love. Every single emotion comes back to love. Seeing that and being like, wow, how beautiful that I get to experience this full range of human emotion. I'm not numb. Like that is such a gift. And to like not run from that, but to keep leaning into it, keep feeling the emotions and almost be able to like detach yourself in a way from the emotions so that they're just flowing through you. That has been like a really important lesson for me lately.
So cool. Well, that's the end. Thank you so much. You killed it.
Love your questions. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're so good at writing like really meaningful questions. I loved answering them. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, you did not stumble once. You did so well.